Hey, everybody. My name is Benita G. Welcome back to season 9 of the Education Concierge Podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest, André Lewis. Now, you know what we do. Go ahead and get you something to sip on. I ain't heard about what's in your cup. And get you a pencil, pen, highlighter, whatever you need, your electronics, because you need to take notes. Because we're about to help you elevate your mindset, literally and figuratively. I'm going to spill a little bit about who he is because I am impressed all the time. He's a veteran, an engineer. I got to read airline captain, a husband, a father of 3, and a passionate literacy advocate. So you already know. I'm like, yes. From a Boeing 767 across the globe to helping young people fight through reading and writing, his journey is a perfect example of purpose in motion. Never stop moving. We're going to share some of the other things later. I'm going to let him tell the name of his company and the nonprofit he does. But this is what I'm going to say. Whether your daily commute is you're reading an audiobook, you're reading, you're listening to an audiobook, you're writing in your journal, words are powerful and literacy is needed. And he's an advocate for this. He's an advocate of telling the stories that you may have never heard, untold stories, but they're always the true stories. How about that? All right, I'm going to bring him to the stage. Y'all know how we welcome our guests, so get ready. Hello.
Hey, Benita, how you doing today?
I am good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you.
All right. So if you didn't know, this is how we welcome our guests. I am a little country girl. I'm from Lawrenceville, Virginia. And in the country, you know, in the South, you come into the house, we invite you over for dinner. You cannot fix your plate. You come in, you take your shoes off because we have red dirt. Your shoes got to stay at the door. And you go down the hall to the guest bathroom and you wash your hands because you cannot wash your hands in the kitchen sink because that's not appropriate. Wash your hands, you come back, you sit down, we're going to give you a nice plate. Here's the question I always ask my guests. Your plate that we give you doesn't need to be sectioned. Can your food touch or can your food not touch?
I like mine section.
Got you. We got a lot of, I'm glad I'm buying these right plates. Your plate is sectioned. We give you a nice heaping of all of the things and we already ask you, you know, what you want. But the last thing we give you is a nice cold glass of sweet Southern tea because unsweetened tea is a blasphemy. We don't know why. But if you know you can't drink that sweet tea, we're gonna bring you some water or some lemonade. Because we're not messing with people's health. But the rest of us, we're gonna drink this tea that's too sweet and water it down.
That's nice.
And now that you're part of the family, so by the end of this episode, you will be part of the family. The next time you come on the podcast, we will not fix your plate. But you will wash your hands down that hall in that sink. And then you come in and you fix your own plate. So welcome to the TEC family. What I want you to do is introduce yourself and tell us the name of your company and what you do.
I'm gonna start with this. Just to let you know, you probably didn't know this. I'm originally from Mississippi, Columbus.
So you already know.
Yeah, I know about the red dirt and everything else. So no, my name is André Lewis. I'm the owner of Literary Engineers and the president of a nonprofit called Literary Tools. My background, I went to the Air Force Academy. I got a degree in astronautical engineering, propulsion dynamics, so a rocket scientist. I got an MBA in business from Western University. Served in the military for 9 years as a pilot. And in 1998, I was hired by FedEx to become a pilot for them. So I've been doing that for about 26 years now. And as you mentioned, I'm a captain on the 767 based out of Oakland, primarily flying throughout Asia. But in 2005, after working with several nonprofits, primarily speaking to high school students how to achieve their dreams with academic excellence, I realized we weren't helping enough kids. So I decided to create my own publication company called Literary Engineers, basically to create books that would be customized to our kids so they could see people that look like them. And from there, we've done 26 books. And then in 2016, decided to create a nonprofit to allow us to create a vehicle to allow entities that want to do what I was doing to donate books to organizations and schools. And so that is basically what I do. But my why in life is changing and saving lives through literacy.
Oh my God, I love it. So y'all already know. First of all, y'all know I speak about my brother-in-law and I tell y'all there are Black pilots. Here's my other proof evidence, and I know like 10 of them now. But this is another Black pilot who is from the South. And let me tell y'all something. He told y'all he is not a dummy. Because if you were following, he was like, I went here. And I think, did you just tell us you were
astronautical engineer, propulsion dynamics, space shuttle
Yeah,
stuff.
all of that. For those of us in our education world, STEM and Steve, okay, all of that. So this is why we expose the students early so that they can go with Andre over here in all of this pilot, STEM, jet propulsion, all of those things that we love to hear the kids talk about, but most of the time we don't know what they say. We're like, yeah,
Mhm.
okay. But we see them creating and being innovative in the classroom. So you went from, you're still in this. I have a question. How, and this is, you're like, but it's nothing to do with literacy. How in the world did you get into piloting?
It's a long story. I can share this. When I was in sixth grade, I was going to a gifted and talented school up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I was very fortunate that my teacher was an African American male. I think he was about 25 at the time. And I had a chip on my shoulder. I was getting into fights and everything else. And one day after a fight, he had me go up to his room and sat me down. He says he wanted to talk to me. He handed me his portfolio of all these, his exceptional accomplishments on the hard court. He was the basketball player, All American, All City, all this. Went on to a 4-year school down in Florida, as a matter of fact. His freshman year, he says, I'm definitely going to the pros. The second year, he got hurt, blew out
Mm,
his knee. I said, well, I kept reading all these clippings and they all stopped. I said, what happened? He says, at that moment, I realized that I needed to come back to become a teacher to help little black boys like you realize they could do something other than play with the ball. He
ooh,
says, you're getting in fights all the time, but you have an affinity for math. He says, what I want you to do when you grow up is become an engineer to go to MIT. Now, I didn't know what an engineer was, nor did I understand why he wanted me to go to a MIT. He planted the seed. And with that, it started germinating in me, and I started putting my focus on this idea. And then to your question, how did I become the pilot part? I've always wanted to fly. I mean, ever since I was a
mm,
little kid living in Mississippi, I used to lay on the back, on the ground, with no shoes on, little thing, weeds in my mouth, looking up in the sky, seeing planes, and I wanted to do that. But I have to give credit to a young lady who allowed me to make that really happen. I won't mention her name because she's still around, but
okay.
um, she was in ROTC and she had on a uniform. And she's like, I'm going to become a pilot. I'm going to go to the Air Force Academy, um, this and that. And the more she talked about her dream, the more I fell in love with it. I'm like,
Mm,
that's what I want to do. I can make my dream come true. I can become an engineer at the academy and also become a pilot. And I said, oh, wow. And then I said, I'm going to go there too. And she looked at me from my head to my toe. He said, you can't go because they only take the best. Well, I won't use the language that I used back then on this podcast, but I told her in some uncertain words, I'll meet you there. And because of that, knowing that there are other people out there that had the similar dreams that I did, and because my teacher felt enough about me to plant a seed of something that I was unaware about, it gave me that compulsion to say, they believed in me. And so that what led me to set my tracks onto the Air Force Academy. I was very blessed and fortunate. I got a presidential nomination to go to the Air Force Academy, which you only give out 100 a year. And so with that, it was still a challenge, but I knew there were other people making it happen. And I think that's one of the most important things that we need to do in our community and our society. We need to show this representation to our children. We need to put us out in front so that they can see us. Now you're gonna get me on my tangent, because the only thing we see on TV for the most part, this is my little talking point, is either athletics and entertainment. And I have nothing against those. I think they're one of vehicles, one of our opportunities. But at the same time, the numbers are so low of success in those fields. But I can tell you to a young man or a young lady, I can give you a skill set that will help you generate enough revenue in your life and wealth that you and your family can have a wonderful life. And it doesn't have to do with anything that has to do with sweat equity. We can use
mm.
our minds and things that we are so empowered to do and facilitate that we can make those things happen. Miss, they just don't know it exists.
Oh my God. So that's not a tangent. That is what we preach here. So that was wonderful. That is exactly why we are here to have conversations about education from different angles. And thank you for sharing your story. One, people needed to hear it. And people need to understand why behind people coming into literacy coming into advocacy. So you had a teacher, because representation matters, and we know that, to pull you to the side and say, look here, knucklehead, I was a knucklehead. Okay. And I came back because I wanted more for me. And then I want to show young men, young gentlemen that look like me, there is more.
Sure. And to bring it full circle for you, Benita, actually, I got a last year, I was asked to go back to do the commencement speech in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for the namesake of the school that I went to when I was in sixth grade. I had the opportunity to take my teacher out to lunch, him and his wife, and to let him know how impactful he was into my life. And I said, what you did for me, I'm now doing for other young men and women. You've given me the baton and I'm running as hard as I can. So I said, thank you for being the father figure that I looked up to. Thank you for planting the wisdom and giving me the encouragement that I could succeed. You saw more in me than I saw in myself at that time. So I thank you.
And thank you. That is where the power lies. Like I tell people all the time, I said, everybody's not going to be teacher of the year. Everybody's not going to be principal of the year. But you going back and taking him and his wife out to lunch and speaking here so he can hear you, giving him his flowers now, and him literally seeing you and you telling him, this is where I am, this is where my family is, this is what I've done, with that one little afternoon, one little hour of encouragement.
Yeah.
Look at all of that. And even to the young lady who challenged you and she didn't even know it with her rude
Yeah.
self.
She's funny though. She's good. And eventually, to make you laugh, she actually married a pilot later.
I thought you were going to say you were officiating the wedding. I was like, you married the wedding. Man, this is a story. I'm calling Good Morning America, Robin. I'm calling it like, this is the story you need.
Sonny, that's
Okay.
it.
Now, you're never in, your advocacy is in literacy.
Yes.
And so what we talk about here is we talk about how you disrupt and dismantle education. And people know that when I say education, that means community, that means higher ed, that means
Mhm.
pre-K through 12. How are you doing this? And let us know how you have shifted into, and you're still here because we still need pilots. Thank you, FedEx. But how have you shifted into the advocacy of telling stories and the advocacy of making sure people are reading and comprehending and understanding?
Well, I think it goes back to my first book. My first book was called I Want to Fly. And I wrote that for my grandfather, how he was the morals and the values that he gave to me to work hard, to believe, and so forth. He was a pillar for me in that regard. But as my first book went out and I started doing presentations around the nations to schools and after school programs, Benita, I started seeing other needs that
Mm-hmm.
our kids weren't aware of. My mother was a dental assistant, so I wrote a book about oral hygiene to get kids to brush their teeth. Devontae Driver was a young kid that died from a tooth infection. Something
Yes, he did.
that should have cost $25 to $30 could have fixed and saved his life, but due to not having proper oral hygiene, he passed away. And then you look at other kids. If your teeth are certain, you're not going to do well on a test. Then we're talking about fitness and nutrition. If you're hungry, you're not going to do well on a test. And then I talked about achievement gaps. So all these things, I started seeing all these ills in our school system and educational system. And I realized that a lot of our parents, they're not aware of some
Mm.
of the things that they need to be exposed to. And these are things that really not being taught in schools.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get that information? And so I saw myself as a gateway to create customized books that would educate not only just our children, but have them become the advocate to show this messaging with their parents when they took the book home to share with them, this is what I need to do, mom. I need to brush my teeth at least twice a day. I need to floss. And mom, we need to make sure, our dad, we need to make sure we go see the dentist twice a year to get a checkup.
Mm.
That was the power. And then along with that, like us, many of us that grew up, with the scholastic books and so forth, all those books, I didn't see me in them.
Mm.
Same me. That when I am in a position now to create my own publication company, I can make sure our representation is done and done well, and to put a multicultural group of people from different walks of life, from different social economics, and give them a platform to see themselves, because I believe in the power of visual effects. What we see, we can do. We just need to see it. So,
Mm.
another tangent. So when I was at the Air Force Academy, we held this thing called the Nexus Conference. I was one of 4 students in this class of science fiction reading. When we hosted the Nexus Conference, it was all the Hugo and Nebula winners of science fiction. All these amazing authors came there. I was one of the 4 students that was offered the opportunity to present a talking paper. My talking paper was called Women in Science Fiction, Past, Present, and Future, with my theme saying, how we write about women in our literature is who women will become.
Mm.
So if you want a strong woman to be seen, you write strong women characters into our books. If you want a woman to have high self-esteem, we show them in a book with a character that exemplifies those characteristics that we would like to see blossom. And from that, I took that information from that particular aspect. And then with my engineering degree, I have reverse engineered problems in our society to create books that demonstrate how we can perceive and how we do overcome the particular ills that we have in our society.
You better come on, preach. Come on. Come on. Come on. Look, that's why we have a podcast. I was sitting here like this right here.
That's
Because
what I do,
that's
and so,
no, that's so important. I was thinking when you were talking, I was like, that is true. And I'll never forget, I was reading I Know What a Caged Bird Sings. And Maya,
yes,
unfortunately, was being abused by this man.
yes,
And she told somebody, and then the man was no longer alive. And I remember she said, she became mute. She said, I realized the power of my words. And that little part right there, I didn't, what happened didn't fit my life, but her saying my words are powerful is something that's always stuck with me.
mhm,
Like what I say has power behind it because you said this man is doing this to me and then he was gone.
mhm,
And so you're right. And I was sitting here and I was like, what books have I read? Like right now, I'm reading Love or Whiskey by Fawn Weaver. Oh my
mm,
God. Like
mhm,
even as a grown woman, powerful, like you said, powerful, strong, educated, smart, creative, innovative women who reflect me, who look like me or from the South like me or have locks like me or just brown like me. That is important. And especially as a young child.
I know. And see, that's what I'm saying. If you look at what we produce now in our media and what we have as far as entertainment and what we promote amongst music and so forth, to me, it is a destructive tool that has denigrated our community. You're not seeing, for the lack of the better words, the doctors, the lawyers, the scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs been elevated in
Mm.
our status quo. We always want to elevate those things that the media wants us to be put into a box. I am the challenger in that regard that I'm going to break the box. I don't need to be there. A little boy from Mississippi who said he's going to become an engineer, become a pilot. All the people that told me I couldn't do it, that was fuel for me to let me know that I could do it because I knew then I was going to be a threat.
Come
My
on.
threat is that I am an African American male, a father of 3 daughters, one getting ready to go to med school this fall, one who graduated in anthropology, who's a PTA, and one who graduated a year early from UC San Diego, who's now finished her first year of law school. All the little boy from Mississippi. And if I can do it, and I'm not special, I'm just like every other kid. The only thing is, most of them don't have anybody in their corner that believes in them, nor have they even heard someone doing what I said we're doing right now.
There it is. There it is. And I'm listening to you, and all I could think of, that is why people are trying to ban books. Power,
Yes.
the power
Yes.
of literature,
Yes.
literature, the power of reading, the ability to be able to read and comprehend is beyond comprehension. So they're like, well, if we get rid of the books, then they can't possess the power.
So true.
They can't see the representation. And then we have advocates like you who are like, well, you can ban the book. I'm just going to write some more. Like, what?
Well, and
Good Lord.
that's the reason why I created my own publication company so no one can tell me no. I don't
Mm,
have to ask your permission. I get to do what I want to do.
wait,
Thank the Lord that I got enough money to make it happen, that I don't have to wait on people to give me anything to do it.
need everybody to listen to what he just said. I'm going to say it. I want y'all to listen. I am writing books and I want them published. So I am also going to create a publishing company because when I get ready to publish my book, I don't need to go out here and beg and ask and plead and hear no and rejection. I'm just going to put it out there. So as the audience, our job is now to purchase because now it's out there. It is no third party. We're going to connect with his company. We're going to get the purchase order from the school, and then we're going to purchase the books. I'm talking to pre-K through 12. I'm talking to higher ed education engineer communities. I'm talking to my D9. We're going to talk to y'all. I'm going to talk to y'all in a minute. I'm talking to HBCUs. I'm talking to all of my friends on daycare or learning centers. I'm talking to you because we have to circumnavigate the foolishness. And here is a choice on how we do that. Here's an option on how we get to these books. Okay, let me bring it back in. Okay, so because I was like, I don't want to hear this. Okay, so let's go there because my next question was, what is one obstacle, and how did you innovate to go past it? But you just shared it with us.
Well, I'm gonna go deeper. Since you just mentioned those plethora of people that you want to connect to, one of my biggest clients at the time was Casper, Wyoming. Let me say it one more time for the people that didn't hear me in the back. One of my biggest clients was Casper, Wyoming.
No,
Casper, Wyoming would order 3,000 to 5,000 copies of my books each year. I would fly out to Casper and do presentations to all of their elementary schools 3 times a year
Mm,
with the books that I had written to help a lot of other communities. They saw value in what I was doing, and they highly represented and supported what I was doing. When a lot of other communities that I actually wrote the book to help so as not to support. The biggest challenge that I realized then is that I saw this was as a potential, like these were the books that I want to give.
mm,
Well, they gave me another opportunity. In 2009, they were mandated by the state to have a bullying policy in place. They came back with a 9-page legal document that talked about bullying. They had enough faith in me. They came to me in person. One of the directors says, "Hey, Mr. Lewis, can you do us a favor?" I'm like, "What's that?" They said, "Here's this 9-page legal document. We don't understand it.
mm.
Can you write a children's book that explains what this is?" So I took it as an engineer, dissected it, broke it down, took out the 5 elements or potential opportunities of bullying, wrote examples in a book that talked about it, but even went further to provide resources to families and the children on how to combat bullying inside of the book. So we show you through example, through illustrations. Then I rewrote the 9-page legal document, made it 2 pages that the parents and the children could comprehend it, crafted the book. That book within a year, well, along with some other initiatives, helped reduce bullying in their district by 32%.
32%.
32%. And which led to the police chief of Casper, Wyoming, come to me, said, "I heard about this book. Can you do a book for my police department? Because Dairy's getting played out. We want to go into the school district with a positive message versus negative. And your
Yeah.
book has done that." We created a book and making it better in Turner County, where the officers are going into the third graders, so every third grader in that city would get in the book. And the officers are talking about safety tips for them, safety tips for their families. And then each officer would sign their name and badge number in the back of the book and tell them, if you ever get stopped by another officer, tell me you know me. And that book has been done for Richmond, California, Las Vegas. A version has been done for Vallejo. As a matter of fact, next week, we're doing the reading of every third grader in the Vallejo school district. Has 46 officers that come out to them to read this book and tell them, you know what? I'm not only a police officer, I'm a father. I understand. I look at you as my children. And if you ever need help, I want you to know you can come up to me at any time. You see me on the street, stop me, and I will always be there to help you. I am bridging that gap. And the sad part, Benita, I talked to 10 major cities when I was doing my research of the book.
Mhm.
They didn't realize they had the problem. And since that time, we've seen Floyd. This is back in 2009, 2010. I was
Mhm.
before the curve. I was like, we have a problem, but nobody was listening.
So, one, I don't know why people think they ain't had no problem, but anyway, because I was like, "What?" Because I have lived in major cities, and it's always been a problem. So I'm not sure why the people in charge chose to ignore. Well, you know what? It's
You know
2020.
why?
I'm not putting anything past anybody anymore. So
Because the problem was feeding themselves.
we had the same conversation in education, where traditionalists get in the way of innovation,
Mhm.
and they get in the way of creativity, but they also get in the way of progress. And so that's where those of us here, we come to disrupt it, we come to dismantle it, we come to, I don't know why I keep saying circumnavigate. That's my word of the week, I guess. Circumnavigate. And because literally, I grew up in the house. I just spoke to my daddy like this morning, like twice. He calls me every morning at 5:30. Y'all help me. I'm like, yes, sir. And he's 80 now, so he's got to get it off. If he's thinking about it, he needs to tell me. He feels like he's going to forget. He said, I said something to him about a job I applied for or something, and I say I didn't get it, blah blah. He was like, Benita, that's the first no. What does that mean? I was like, the first no means nothing. He's like, okay then. Because literally that's how my dad raised me. Now, I don't know if he said that to my older sister. I don't know if he said that to my younger brother. I don't know what that conversations were about. But I know for me, he knew this child. And I love how you're saying you're like, you know what? Well, these 10 people said that, but I went over here to this community and this community. And not only did I go to this community, but we performed so well and the metrics were so great. They came back a second time. They came back a third time, which means that people forget. Superintendents talk to each other. Police officers have a whole conference. Mayors have whole conferences. All of these people, we all now, especially now, can talk to each other. While we're on this podcast, I know several superintendents who you have been on my podcast. I know you personally, and I know that some of you are not down with the foolishness, and I'm gonna need you to find some money. And the reason we target third grade, we don't have to tell you. If you're a superintendent, I have to tell you, Robert, targeting third grade, I'm gonna need you to call me.
Mhm.
Okay, because we don't have time to go into that. If you're in education and you don't understand why third graders are the target audience, we're gonna have a conversation so I can bring you some numbers. And you're gonna have to fly me out. I'm gonna do a whole 2-day session with you. We're gonna look at your numbers and I'm gonna help you. That's part of what I do in the consultancy side.
Right.
This is what I want to ask. I have two more questions, then we're gonna do the last two wrap up things. One, what do you see that's on the horizon in advocacy and literacy? And then how are you preparing for
Fortunately, I was listening to one of your other podcasts, and the gentleman talked about AI,
it?
and that resonated with me because it's here. It is here. Don't it's completely been infiltrated into our systems, and we as communities and organizations need to figure out a way in which we can maximize our impact of usage and
Mhm.
understanding how this operates within the systems that are going to be provided to us.
Yep.
I have a platform we just finished 2 years of beta testing with that is coming out this fall. It's called the Literary Portal, in which I am engaging, trying to be on that tip of the spear to use AI, as my buddy gave me a compliment, in a positive way, to try to see how we can maximize learning and providing resources to our families, especially those that are in need, to give them resources to allow them to help them prepare their children, this next generation coming up, for what the future holds. Because it's going to be dramatically different than what we've ever been through before. Many of the pundits are saying, we made it through the Great Depression, we made it through Industrial Revolution. No, this is completely different. This time around, when you're having technology that's going to displace workers by the tenfold exponentially, where do you get your money from if you're not working?
Come on.
How do you survive? How do you take care of people if you don't have a job to go to. The days of not being, and I'm saying education, I'm not just saying in college. One of the things I'm promoting now is vocational trainings as well. We still need those plumbers, welders, carpenters to have a skill set. We
Yeah.
need to prepare our students and say, yeah, this technical stuff is great. TikTok influence is great. However, when all that's said and done by AI, what are you left to do?
Yeah. And in vocational, please understand that AI is going to be there too.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's here.
Here is the last part of like the questioning. What is one powerful or practical piece? Matter of fact, before I ask that, parents are changing. Is that the right way I want to say that? Yes. So I am in the age group we're becoming the grandparents. Like we're even though there are no grandkids, we have moved over here to like
AARP, baby. Let's represent.
right. Okay, so we over here. And so even how you communicate with the newer parents, and there's nothing wrong with y'all, but how we communicate with them, how we reach out to them is important. But I love why you said we give them the books at school so they can take the books home and say, hey mom, hey dad, hey grandma, whoever their adult is. We say they're adults, whoever their adults are. Hey, did you make my dentist appointment? Or,
Yes.
I know, or we may, or here's the paper because the dental lab is coming to school and I
Yes.
want to go get my teeth cleaned like everybody else and get my little sticker. So when going into that, what is one powerful, practical piece of advice for our listeners on what you do and how you disrupt and dismantle education?
I'm going to give him something personal. I had a life coach give me this, so I'm going to give credit to him. It's called the 3 H's. So whenever I'm listening to someone, like my wife or my daughters or whoever it may be, I have to ask them the question when they start speaking to me. Am I here just to hear this? Am I here to help you with this? Or am I here to handle this?
Oh, come on. So help, no, hear.
Hear, help, or handle. And I say that to our children and our parents right now. When you're speaking to your children, listen to them and figure out if you're just supposed to hear what they're saying to you. Are they asking you for their help? Or have they lost to the last within and they need you to handle something for them?
Love that. And that's great parenting advice, great aunting, uncling, grandparenting, teachering. That's just great advice, period. And
Relationships, just to let you know.
spousing, othering, all of that. Help or handle. And if somebody like me, I would walk in and be like, hey, I just need you to hear this. That's all I need. That's the H I need. I need to get it off my chest because I trust you and I can you. Or I'm gonna walk in and be like, hey, I need this handled.
And that's thing, like, like most, like my brothers, the guys that I call close friends, we're very high type A personalities. When people start talking to us, our first inclination is to go fix something. We're going to handle this. We're going to take care of this. And sometimes we don't need to. And I learned that lesson the hard way with my daughter. I personal story, her grandmother passed and she just graduated and she was getting ready to take the MCATs and she wasn't ready. And I'm like, honey, take the MCATs now because you won't be going to med school for another year. And, I'm like, honey, trust me, I know better, da, 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 da. A year later, we had a very serious conversation when she was reapplying for med school. And, she came in to my office and we're talking and she says, Dad, I need to share how that felt to me. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, Dad, when you told me to do this and this, you wasn't listening to me.
Mm.
And I said, baby, I'm like a coach. And I know I see your potential. I know better. You may not see the end goal, but I saw it. And she said, well, Dad, you're going to use this coaching analogy? Well, what you were trying to do is put me into play with a torn MCL, a torn Achilles, and a broken arm. That's how I was. I almost started crying
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't realize I had not listened to her feelings and the state of mind that she was. So to the listeners out there, we need to listen to our children. There are some that are really hurting, but they're not being heard.
Mm.
There are a lot of kids that have a lot of problems. And no, maybe they're dyslexic like my brother was and have parents that were punishing him for something that he can control. We need to listen. hear them, help them, and when they need it, handle the things for them.
My gosh. Y'all, I really want to end it right there, but we can't. We still got some more to do. But that was thank you, first of all. Thank you for being a dad that listens. I don't know how many times I have to say to people having a dad in the house, outside, I don't know where he is, but having a dad that you have access to who sees you grow up and gets to know you is important. Especially for I've never been a boy, so I don't know. But for females, it is. And for her to be able to have a relationship with you, to come back and say, hey, can you just listen for a minute? Because I wanted to share this. I wasn't in the space to share it then. I've had to do that with my dad. And my mom had to coach me through the first time. He's like, you want me to tell my daddy what? So you need to tell your daddy what you think. Oh, yeah, no. She's like, no, you need to tell your daddy so that he can understand. And then he learns who you are a little bit more because you're different from your sister and you're different from your brother.
Hmm.
And, he has to like adjust. And so I appreciate that. I'm on behalf of daughters around the world who have great dads who we can go
Hmm.
speak to. And I've had to say that to my dad before too. I'm like, look at the wind beneath my wings, but I'm gonna need you to let me coast for a minute, like I did. You're doing too much. Let me just fly like the eagle. Let the eagle just be chilling sometimes in the sky.
Right.
Coast for a minute, and then I'm gonna start flapping my wings and get my rhythm back. But I need, and he be like, you okay, go ahead. I'm like, cause you own me in a good
Right.
way. Daddy, calm down. He was like, okay. But he also knew the type of child I was. I am, like when I got that A in class and the progress reports came out, I have an A. I stopped doing work. For what? I got an
Hmm.
A. He's like, no, you have 3 more weeks of school. Daddy, it ain't gonna drop to no F in 3 weeks. Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, oh Lord. So he knew, like,
Hmm.
I push you. Where
Oh,
where my big sister, she's not gonna let that A drop at all. She's like, keep doing the work because that's how she's built. And we laugh about that all
mm,
the time. And she's like, we need to go to the party, then come back and do the paper. And she's like, I'm gonna do the paper and not go to the party, girl. I'm so sorry. I can't help you with that. I was like, the aunt is the cues. Oh, I'm going.
right.
They having a party with
Ah.
so okay, so these are the last 2 things we always talk about. And let me see if I can find it. Here it is. We do a controversial corner.
Okay.
Scripted, unfiltered, unapologetic, but you also do not have to answer it. You can be like,
Okay.
Benita, I'm not going to do that. So I want to talk about because we're talking about literacy. We talked a little bit about AI, and you're not an education, so I want to definitely get your opinion because we call y'all civilians. So you got a foot in education, but you're not really all the way in. What do you feel about how some educators are literally saying, don't use AI all in my room. Don't use it to write your papers. They're punishing the kids, or they're saying to the kids, you use AI and now it's not really your thoughts or your ideas. You allow AI to write it for you. What are some suggestions or how you feel about that? And how do we combat it? Because you're like me. It's been here. It's just gotten better. It's not going away. It's like our cell phones. Try and take these kids' cell phones. Try and take my cell phone now. So we're going back to the phones on the wall. No, thank you.
I think so. My initial thoughts, you can't stop it. I mean, AI is here. And if you have a smart device, laptop, iPad, whatever it may be, ChatGPT is there. And then it's kind of hypocritical. Most of us that are in business are using it every day in some capacity, writing an email, writing a letter, you need help. I'm looking up this, I want to know that. So I think it's hypocritical that we don't think our kids are using it. But the way that you can manifest it in the schools, go back to old school, write it out. So when I have you in your room and I want you to write an essay without your phone, I want to see you write. That's it. So I don't care if you use AI to get the knowledge when you're at home. It doesn't bother me. But we got to give them opportunities to make sure they can translate that knowledge and make sure it's been comprehended inside their mind to be able to show us in person. That's how you thought that. It's like, yeah, go use AI as much. If you can learn more using your AI tool to talk about George Washington crossing the Delaware, but when I have you in my classroom and I say I want you to write 200 words a day right now without the use of your phone, then we're going to see if you have your knowledge. That's how we check that. I don't care what paper you wrote, but can you talk about it? Can you
Mm.
elaborate on it? I mean, one of the things that I had to learn when I took that class of science fiction, Cliff Notes about out back in my day.
Yeah.
Cliff Notes. You
Yeah.
didn't have to read the book. You just go to the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, Cliff knows about this. Yeah,
But these two instructors for 4 students, seem like you can read all the Cliff Notes you want, but that's nothing we're going to ask you about that's on the Cliff Note. We're
true.
going to actually do a comparison, a relationship between how Octavia Butler wrote about this particular character in her book, and then talk about David Brand when he was talking about this book, and look at Asimov when he was talking about that. Bring me the correlation of what these characters represented and how they transformation inside of this book. AI can't do that for you when you got to do it right there in front of somebody.
So this is what I heard you say. A couple of things. One, bring back those little blue books we had to write. The university synonymous. Like we would go, you get like 10 blue, just put them in your bag. Because when you walk in, and I was an English major, so I totally get what you're saying. Like you had to know the stories, and they were like, the 10 short stories we read this semester, you need to know them. You need to
Right.
know them. And he was like, and then what our professors do to get the packet or whatever, and you be like, blue book page 1. That blue book be full. And I had ugly handwriting. It's still horrible. I'm left-handed. But you're right, because it was already here. And then what I heard you say was, you're gonna have to bring it.
Mhm.
Teachers, you're gonna have to bring it. Like we did old school. So we're gonna have to say, okay, you read Octavia Butler and you did this, and then compare and contrast the characteristics, and give me a 200 page and give me a 200 word essay now in class. And now, even if you're in class, if you want to still use the computer, now what I'll say to my students is now drop that from Google into your Chat GPT or Gemini and
Mhm.
tell them to give it a flow, because you probably don't have no flow.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. And then pull it back out. Now you need to check that, because I've had to check my Gemini and my Chat GPT for
Mhm.
grant.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
said, I had to check it to make sure that's not a word, or the tone.
Mhm.
So now we're still having writing is ongoing correction. I love
And
it.
it's a tool. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a tool. That's all it is. And we have to be better at using this tool and teaching our youth and this younger generation how to make this tool a benefit for them.
There it is. And your old generation too. Y'all, look, y'all. So we need to stop playing like, oh my goodness, be quiet. We came through when the microwave came out, the VCR, and our phones didn't even click over. We went through the click over phone. Now we have a cell phone that everything is on our fingertips right now. Don't play with me. If
Right.
you are 35 and over, stop acting like, oh, I'm so scared. Shut up.
No.
You're not. You just need to learn YouTube Academy,
Mhm.
social media. They have all these people on there like, you can put this in your Chat GPT. I did it yesterday. And told ChatGPT, since you know me, give me 5 blind spots about myself. That thing had me cry. I said, oh. And then I said, oh, you can do better than that. Then it broke me down. How do you know me? But I use it all the time. It broke it down. It's like, you like to encourage people, but you don't take your own advice. Excuse me. But then I said, okay, well, let me feel better. Give me 5 good things that I do. Give me 5 accomplishments. And it did. But I was like, this thing is a little scary, but it's not, because I used it.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It is here. And the only way, like you said before, every generation is talking about what the other generation now has that they didn't have and so forth. We got to get out of that mindset. It's nothing that we're going to put this genie back in the box. So we've got to be able to use it to the benefit of our kids. Make it something beneficial for your family.
I love that. Okay. And I love that you say for your family. Because look, I ain't even gonna lie. I was in Trader Joe's and was like, hey, I need a quick meal. ChatGPT, I got some cabbage and I got some Chilean bass. Give me a quick pescatarian meal. And it gave me 3 options. And I said, oh, I got all of this at the house. And I left Trader Joe's. I was like, okay, we don't need to buy anything today.
Hmm.
And the lady said, you good? Oh, I'm good. I just realized that I got food at home. Okay. There it is. Okay, now the next part we do is called rapid fire. And I know yesterday, well, back in the day, we sing a song, you can get with this or you can get with that. So I'm not gonna say the whole thing because I don't want to get banned or they come after me. But rapid fire is say this or that. Plus we're an education podcast. Educators are not good with picking one. They be like both or it depends on the situation. That's acceptable also.
Okay, no worries.
Supposed to be rapid, but we take all answers now. Okay. Would you like to see more traditional classrooms or hybrid learning hubs? Standardized test or portfolio?
Portfolio.
Textbooks or TikTok-like tutorials?
Textbook.
Okay. STEAM or STEM?
Steam.
Behavior charts or restorative circles?
Or circles.
Mentorship or coaching?
Mentorship.
Global projects or local impact?
Local impact.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Audiobooks or a podcast?
Podcast.
Sweats and sneakers or blazers and loafers with the shiny penny?
Give me my sweats and sneakers. I'm cool. We good.
Okay, I think you broke a record. Because literally the educators we've been like, girl, because I was like, no, that's not.
This is what we do. I'm a soldier, baby. This is what we roll with. This is how we roll.
You broke the record. Because I'm saying like, oh, we finished. Okay. Here are the last couple of things we do. We do tell us how we can get in touch with you. How can we order your books? Where do we need to go? If y'all forget, y'all know y'all can hit me up at any time. But where are you on social media? What is your website? Tell us how we can get in contact with you.
Okay, first one, I'm on LinkedIn primarily. That's what I normally do. André Lewis. You can look me up with Littering Engineers and you'll find me. My website is literaryengineers.com. We're doing a promotion for like this women's book. It's like literaryengineers.com/women hyphen SYF. I'm a little bit on social media with like the Facebook and Instagrams. It's like lit engineers, but that's not my main thing. If you want our books, contact me at alewis@literaryengineers.com. We don't really sell on Amazon. That was never the intent. My intent was to make sure I get people to hand books to kids. So let me give you this and leave it with this. Books have no value for the most part, except what you read in them. What makes them a treasure to a child is how it's given to them.
Wait a minute.
So our books are treasures. So when organization gives our books out, like when we did I Want to Fly, I get to tell every kid, I believe in your dreams. This is my dream and how I made it come true. And in our book, we have 3 blank pages so where every kid gets to illustrate their dream. And we tell them to take it home and have their parents sign on those pages so their parents know what their dreams are. And then I said, if you ever have a bad day at school, come back and look at your dream book and realize where you're about to go. And those are just haters behind you that don't want to make you see you succeed. Our women's book, beautiful book, is meant to help young ladies realize how impactful, powerful, or determined they can be. And I want women to give this book to another young lady that they see and be a stand for her. I want them to sign the book. I'm Benita. I own my own consulting company. This is what I do. And I see power. I see resiliency in you. I see potential. This is your book as your tangible reminder how special you are. That's what makes my books different. Now, if you want to go entertain, go get green eggs and ham. But if you want to be transformational, this is what I do. And that's why I'm talking with organizations. I bought the popcorn, bought the cookies, bought the dinner plates to support all these initiatives. Those are transactional. All thing they do is feed you for the day. When you give out literacy in a book that has some value to it, we become transformational. We give something that will sustain them for the rest of their lives. And I'm going to bring it back full circle. That's what Mr. Finley did to me. He gave me a book that was personal to him, and he made it special to me, and he connected it. And that's what our books do when you give them out. So if you just want to try to buy a book to give someone, that's my books are not those books for you. But if you want to be transformational in your community, i.e., improve relationship between law enforcement and your communities, that's what you call me for. And that's what I do.
Look, y'all, we're going to end right there. I know it's some other stuff I have planned, but I'm not going to do it because it's not necessary. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, season 9, the Education Concierge, go get the book. And I love what you said. This is not about green eggs and ham. We don't even like Dr. Seuss because he was a racist. And I said that. But you need to get the book because it's about changing lives, but it's also about the historical concept. It's about intellectual property. It is about ensuring that our students see themselves and then see their future and have a guide to get there. That's what we're talking about. That's how you dismantle. That's how you disrupt. This is how we build back education the way we need it to be, because as you can see, there's nobody coming to save us.
So sure.
It's us. It's just us. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Do you have any shout outs that you need to do? That's the part I forget.
No, I just want to say thank you to all of those that are out there doing positive things in the community. I thank you for your platform, Benita, give me an opportunity to share what I do because I don't market. You won't find me out there doing this stuff. I know I believe in us and I built this for us. And, I hopefully, we talked about this like the D9s and organizations, you know, Jack and Jill's, and you get my meaning with that. All
Yes.
these entities out there that have a belief of helping others. I hope I can provide my blessings with you to work with your organizations to allow you to affect change in your community. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to share what I do. I bless everybody out there. Do what we do.
There it is, y'all. Hey, I'll see y'all in the next episode. We're about to wrap up. If you have not watched all of season 8 and season 9, you need to do it because season 10 actually starts in August. So you need to get on there. You need to be ready. Reach out, order the books. If you're confused or you're like, Benita, I don't remember what to do, slide in my DMs professionally and ask for help. That is why we're here. Until next time, take care of yourself because self care is not optional. I'll see y'all later.